Hey there. Down in the plant propagation area, things are going pretty well, except that everything's dying. There is no labor to water things. Like this is a macadamia that's not dead yet, but it will die. These are all citrus that have been in buckets for 3-4 years, all dying. And it's mainly an issue of labor. Now, the good thing about how I do things is that I learn how to do them with less resources. And so, as twisted as it sounds, it's good that I find out what the limits are. Because if you have infinite resources, you will use them. That is the nature of people. It's the nature of organisms. However, I don't want all my plants to die, right? Because I've got major investment in these plants. And the goal is that this is the vivero, this is the plant propagation area that spews plants out that we can then put into the forest where they can put their roots down in deeper, not just be in a bucket, and then they can survive on their own. That's the ultimate goal. Now, I should have actually separated areas for different kinds of plants, and we sort of have that here, but not really. It's not as perfect as it ought to be. I need to have an area that is just plants which are going to be given away or sold. Generally, I'm not trying to be economically profitable with products here, which sounds weird, especially since I would like to be economically profitable. Oh, here's a good example over here of a fig tree. This fig tree right here. This was just made from a cutting. Can you see that? And there's little figs coming on it now, right there. I haven't actually seen this one fruit before that I recall. But it is big enough to survive on its own right here. We don't water it. So there's whole philosophy behind why things are done this way. It is very, very bad that I am at the point where I've got, let's see, what is it? It's now early April, mid-April maybe. And I've got May to get, April, May. I've got like basically 2 months of dry season to get through. And hopefully I'll get a couple storms in there or something that will fill up my water because I'm off grid with water. And luckily I have plenty of water. Water is not my problem because I don't have any people here. If I had people, then they would use up a ton of water. But I'm working on systems that I can have people here without them using a bunch of water, which is primarily designing a solar sauna so that they don't, I can keep them clean and meet their demands, but not have them be using a ton of water. So anyway, I need to organize this so that it has plants to go away, plants that need to get watered often, plants that need to get watered less often. Like, I don't even know what's in here. Like, this shit all seems dead. This is not dead. But in here this is an interesting case. I've got buckets with maguey seeds in it, agave seeds. And I got a screen over it because last time I planted a bunch of agaves over there, I should go check on those, birds ate them all. Like, they were fine, they were growing, and I was like, hey, I'm going to have thousands of agaves. This is really great. And then birds just came in 2 days and wiped them all out. Every one. It was really a bummer. So over here, I got a tiny cedar there. No, everything's dead. Also, this is under a pine tree, and so pines are covering up anything that grows, and then it doesn't grow. That's why coniferous forests are so dead. They're not biologically diverse. But we did figure out something else, which is exciting. And this is why we have to do a lot of experiments to find out the best way. We've got some bottles over here, and I don't want to use a lot of plastic, but I'll use what I got. And this is garbage. I can go pick up a van load of this kind of stuff as garbage. And inside of it is a whole bunch of baby magueys. That's because the dirt that got put in there, it was watered with the seeds, and it retained the moisture better. So the ones in the bucket over there are not even growing because they haven't been watered. And the idea behind the buckets was that they would hold moisture better, but they're still not going to hold it perfectly if it just evaporates off. So Those are even in a moderately shady spot over there. So I'll water these today. I've got water running, which I need to remember, because one of the problems is that if you forget your watering and then wander off, then you could lose all the water you have. And there's no city water, so it's not like I just waste water. At that point, I have no water. So there's a lot to think about. Right now I'm just filling up this cistern, but it will take, I don't know, it could take an hour. It's barely trickling through. I need to go check my large cistern up there. Maybe we'll go do that to see how much water's in it, because this was left on by somebody once, and it drained for over a day. And so I don't know how much I lost. I don't know, maybe I lost half my water. I doubt that. It's a very large cistern. It's not like one of these little wuss-ass tinacos here. But still, you know, it's not an infinite supply. And there is no rain. Zero. So, okay, so I have to not forget I'm running water. And I've thought about having like a medallion you wear when you're running water or you're cooking something, although cooking something you shouldn't even really be leaving the kitchen. That's why I need a kitchen staff and stuff, because I go into the kitchen and I start cooking, and then I eat something because I'm hungry. That's why I'm cooking. And then I leave the kitchen and forget, and I've left the stove on twice and just burned the hell out of food. And, you know, it's probably a fire hazard, not much of one where I live, but it's not good. And so, you know, you got to focus on the task at hand. And I don't do that very well, to be honest. I get distracted so easy. So I have to remember I'm draining water here. Oh, I bought a new hose. I should use that hose. Anyway, what I need here is people to focus on watering these, but there is the problem of overwatering, and that's why I need to divide these plants up, is because if allowed to, people would actually water as much as they could, but they don't understand I have a limited amount of water. So watering as much as you can is a very, very bad idea. Another bunch of work, well, so anybody who's here has to be trained to not waste resources. The other thing, really I could have a full-time person just focused on plant stuff. Now, I would rather not have full-time people working on one thing all the time, because I think it's boring. I think it's better to have people work on things half-time, whether it's two different things in the same day or different things different days of the week. And in this case here, it doesn't need somebody every day. And so I think it would be cooler to have different days for different types of work for an individual. Now, maybe that's just me. You know, I find it boring to do the same work all the time. But, God, this shit is looking terrible in here. This is just pitiful and horrible to see. And then there's also stuff in here that is ready to go out this year. And so I should get it the hell out of here. Also, like all these buckets over here, I buy these used, by the way. So it's like a cheap pot, basically, to put a plant in. Like all this shit in here is dead. I had a friend water these a while back. I paid him, of course. That's why it's expensive, is I have to pay people to do things, and I have no money. Because even though people love the idea of what I'm doing, I get very little support. Like, not enough to live on. Not enough to have internet and feed my dogs. So yeah, I'm failing. This is total failure. Not total. Like this thing over here looks dead, but it's not. This is really cool. See how you get little green leaves in there? And look at these big spikes on it. This looks like a ceiba tree, actually. But I don't know if it is. It's some kind of spiky thing. And I've got some nice amaranth in here. Those will all be ready to go out into the forest this year, I think. But I want to put those in spots that are extra moist, because I've learned so much about microclimates here and how a plant in one place will love it and it will even expand, and in another spot it will just die. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I really don't. Well, we'll see. Die or don't. Well, while we're out and about, let's look at some more plants and things around here. Over here, I've got a ash tree that is growing over a roof, and I just need to cut that because it's interfering with the roof and it's not really needed there. I don't need to shade there. I could bend it over. I could use ropes, and that would be pretty cool. This might be a better idea, is take some ropes and then tie this maybe over to this building over here so that it makes an arch. That would be really pretty cool. It would shade this roadway right here. I like that idea much better. In fact, when I have people here and I train them how to use a machete, or I don't like visitors to use chainsaws because they might get hurt. But the default should be do not cut anything. Like having a machete in your hand makes you a very dangerous person to yourself and others, but also to the plants. Because people will just machete stuff that should not be cut. Even today, I was like cutting branches of trees that are growing into the road, and I had to be very careful to think like, okay, well, what's the minimum I can cut? And what's the long-term effect of this? Am I losing an opportunity to have this tree look really cool or even be more useful by not cutting it? Now, obviously, if a branch is coming into a road and it's a, road is, here roads are just like a large dirt path and are not used, so you get trees growing right in the middle of them. But you have to be very careful anytime you think about cutting anything. And the thing you cut could even be useful for making cuttings during the rainy season. For example, this bush right here. Now, I have no reason to cut it anyway. This is a box tree or whatever they're called. It's a common landscaping plant. It's fairly useless, but whatever, who cares? It fits in, and I've never seen a big one. People always sculpt them small. So I'm going to grow it really big and see what happens. Not too big here, but I wouldn't want to chop that up or sculpt it in the dry season. If I did it in the rainy season, I have the option to use those cuttings to make more plants. And so plants are a resource. Over here is an interesting case where I have a jacaranda tree, which my jacarandas don't tend to turn that purple, and maybe I need to get different jacarandas, but whatever. The point is it's covered in seeds up there. I want those seeds. Now it appears to me that the seed pods have already opened up and that those seeds have already fallen on the ground and are wasted. So that's kind of too bad, but I bet you some of them are still in there in the seed pods. The other thing is that this particular tree is going over a roof, and it's only going to get bigger, right? So I know I'm going to have to cut this thing down someday. This particular one, this is also stupid in here. Someone fucking hooked wire up onto this tree, which is against the fucking rules, and now I have wire embedded in the tree. Big deal. I mean, I'm going to probably chop down this entire piece anyway, but that's very dangerous if you're doing chainsaw work, that you run into a piece of metal, like a nail. Like people nail signs to things. And there's a lot of rules in this space actually that I have to indoctrinate people into, where I'm afraid to have anyone take any action almost, because they usually fuck shit up more than not. And that's because they're not trained properly. I mean, I would take the blame on it, but it ultimately makes me not want to have people here. Because generally speaking, they will destroy more than they help. And of course, they think their labor is wonderful. Anyway, this thing all has to get cut down. I'll have a friend do that who's good with the chainsaw and I trust, or I'll do it. But I can leave part of it. Look at that cool raven. There's ravens here, and they're massive. It's really cool. So that's another task that needs to get done, is to cut much of this jacaranda off, but not all of it. And I might be able to chop them, and then they might regrow, resprout. I think they will, actually, because like this piece right here is resprouting. And so I could just end up with a weird kind of thing with stumpy looking things, and then have smaller jacarandas shooting off of it. And then I can still collect seeds off of it, and I can grow them from seed, and then I can slowly pick the ones that turn most purple, because that's its main value. I don't know if the wood has any value for carving or anything like that. But anyway, so that's got to get fixed up. This oak tree over here could get topped off. This is an interesting case behind me. This is actually the very first bamboo that I ever put in. The very first plant I put in here was this bamboo. And I know that, you know, about 90% of the people, when I say the word bamboo, will say, oh, that's invasive, don't plant that. That's how they talk. And it's not true. There's clumpers and there's runners. This is a clumper. It doesn't run. Sometimes I wish it did, because then I would have more of it. But what we've done is we've learned how to cut a whole stalk of it off. And we've done this, like you can see where we cut that one. And then we can lay it down in a gully, a place that's just slightly moister. Because this has grown really slow. I mean, this is now almost 20 years old. Because I put it in really early on. So 19, 18, 20 years old, something like that. But anyway, we could cut half of this out of here just before the rains come, or as they come, and then plant those and have a whole bunch more. Although I'm more interested in potentially planting those down by the lake, so I would need to partner up with somebody and get that bamboo, because the bamboo is a super useful tool. Building supply, you can eat the shoots of it, which I haven't done yet. But if I plant it on a slope later, once I have a ton of it, then I can just put it wherever I want and not care how long it takes to grow. But I've got bamboo down there that we put in. It was the first experiments on burying poles, and we were thrilled that it worked. But the bamboo is still like, under 3 meters tall, and that was done like 8 years ago. So it's in too dry and exposed spot. It's not good. In here, we've changed some things around quite a bit. There were some big pines that were going to fall on the chicken coop in the art studio, as well as a big capoline, a black cherry. Now here we see what's left of that black cherry. We didn't cut the whole thing down, and it's currently starting to fruit, which is really always exciting, because there's a particular kind of bird, the trogon, the elegant and mountain trogons, that like to come here and eat that fruit. And there's tons of black cherries all over the place. The interesting thing about this particular one is that it fruits. Many of them don't fruit, and I don't know if that's because they're male or female, or I guess they'd be male. And they still would be useful as pollinizers, but many of them don't fruit. We did do an experiment this last year in grafting onto the ones that don't fruit pieces of this one. Now, I don't know. I don't think you can graft a male onto a female, maybe. I don't know that. That's the kind of thing I should know. It's the kind of thing I would know, but I don't. Anyway, now it's just a big colossal mess in here, where the trees the branches kind of hit the chicken coop and partly damaged it, but we tried to avoid damaging it. All this has to get chainsawed out of here. So this is a good day of work for 2 people to clean up this area. I've got just like branches laying around. If I was using more wood for firewood and cooking, then actually, I would have people motivated to come out and get fuel. I do actually give away fuel locally to families and friends that I like. Here we've got a Dollar Tree eucalyptus. I don't have a ton of eucalyptus. I know some people don't like eucalyptus. Whatever. It's not invasive here. I only have 2 trees. One of them might have died. I'm not sure. Here we've got a cool little cedar, but it's a different kind. I don't think this is the lemon kind. Wish it was. It is not. I have 1 lemon cedar tree now, and I want to get hundreds of them. This all used to be cool in here. This was a fire pit, and it's all grown over. We need to do massive amounts of work. There's actually a project. I mean, I can kind of define it as a project of massive forest cleaning. When I first moved here, an old guy who was working here occasionally for the past owner would clean the forest. He would call it, yeah. And I was like, why do you need to clean the forest for? Let's just let it grow all over. And that is true, partly, except that then you have forest fire risk, which is pretty big, very important right now. And you also, because I've changed things a little bit, I've cut pines in different pockets. We have pine beetle plague that hits and stuff. What happens is then that the most opportunistic plants come in and colonize it, which is perfectly fine for the soil. It's better than bare dirt, but some things overgrow, and I don't know if they're native or not. I think this one is native. This is I don't know the scientific name, but it is everywhere, and it is mostly useless, except some birds or bees might like it some parts of the year, but I don't like it because it just gets in your way. It grows in roads. It's a stupid plant. So I want to chop all of it out. So I could just have the thing where I could just train people, kill that one type of plant. Because if I just say, run around and clear things, then they'll kill things that I don't want them to kill. Like there's a black cherry right over there. I wouldn't want them to kill that. Even if, I don't know if it's a good one or not, but it's a more useful plant. And then the other plant I want to get out of here is this grass stuff that's all over the place, which somebody did tell me came from Spain originally. I have no idea if that's true, but and again, it's not bad. It's not like, like the definition of a weed is just a plant you don't want it where it is, or maybe at all, and it's just too successful. So it's not that the weed is bad. In fact, some insect probably likes it. But we could kill all of this grass and it would still come back, okay? On the wind, the seeds would come and the birds will bring the seeds. Used to have a totem pole here. It fell over that way. I haven't even picked it up. It's probably rotted by now. I guess I could go look. Yeah, it's over there. It's too sad to see dead art. I gotta make art that lasts, Wooden sculptures are not a really great idea in my opinion. It's not like you often see a really old wooden sculpture, and if it was old, then you'd have to treat it with something, and you'd have to use something non-organic to treat it. So why not just make your sculptures out of concrete? So if I want to make a totem pole, which actually I remember years and years ago, I was living in Seattle and I was talking with my girlfriend about how I wanted to make a totem pole, and I didn't think I'd ever really do it because that was just a far fantasy thing. But we since have made several totem poles of varying sizes. One of them was it had 33 faces and it was super tall. It eventually though rotted, and fungus starts to infect the wood, and we painted it, but we didn't apparently seal the hell out of it, which is what is needed. This cool tree right here, I really like this one. One nice thing is I walk around and I look at how I've cut trees and how they grow back, is that I've done something that is a forestry no-no, and that is that I've favored trees that are damaged in some way, that have been squished by a tree falling, or that even since they're young, I start to mess with them and sculpt them. There's actually a whole book on how to grow a chair by Richard Reams, I think. How to grow a chair, and he's got a new one too. And a lot of people around the world are into this, like tree sculpting stuff. It's a great idea. Oh God, there's a solar light that I put in the tree when I first moved here. That is so dumb, and it's still there, but the battery's dead on it. So I littered in my own forest when I first moved here. I used to have a trail here before it was a road, and so I put these lights up there to just kind of help you navigate. The problem is that they're stupid. They're like these yard lights you buy, tiny little LED light in there and a little solar panel and a battery, but you can't swap the battery out on it, which makes it a bad device. And I, of course, put it way up in the tree so we wouldn't get stolen, because I had a few of them stolen. But then the battery goes bad. And so even if I did swap the battery out somehow, I'd have to solder it in there because it's not built right. So it's not the right solution. This is a cool spot in here because I cut down some pines a while ago, And I could flatten this out and make a spot for van camping. And there used to be a trail that went through there, but it grew over. Everything just grows over, which is a great problem to have. What that means is that places I've cut are now filled with trees. So I don't have to have a reforestation project. And there's some people, a bunch of people, who say, oh, you cut down a tree, you want to murder the forest. No, it's you motherfuckers who are murdering the forest. Actually, it's everybody. You know, I use toilet paper and stuff like that too. But, and I use food that was grown with industrial agriculture, you know. So we're all responsible. But the way that I'm doing forestry here is that places I've cut just grow back over. So there is no long-term problem with it. In fact, I've massively diversified the forest here by the way I do forestry. And I have to write this up better as like, what's my entire philosophy of it? The problem is it takes a very long time to develop that philosophy. And then also, I'm not automatically confident that I know what I'm doing. And so, you know, I have to wait a decade to see what happens. Now, in this case, I've got 2 decades in. I'm 20 years into this project. And I'm very, very, very confident that I can murder the fuck out of some trees in an area. Not a big area, but, you know, little areas. And the pine beetle plague forced me into this position. I mean, that's what first caused me to cut down a bunch of trees, was that they were plagued. And if I didn't cut them down, then they would spread the plague. And even my neighbors wouldn't like it, but because it would spread to them. And so you have to cut down the pine beetle plague. Now I have much less problem with pine beetle plague. First of all, it's cyclical. It seems to be cyclical, but it doesn't go very far. And so because I've cut kind of areas where I don't have as many pines, or I've got young pines like these, and even these aren't that close to each other. So it's not as easy for the pine beetle plague to just spread wildly. Basically, pine beetle is a monoculture problem. And it's all over North America. You know, it's not totally terrible, but if you're running a monoculture tree farm, then it is totally terrible. But you shouldn't be running a monoculture tree farm. That's the wrong way to do forestry, my opinion, for my goals. I mean, if somebody does it somewhere, it's not the end of the world, you know. And we need building supplies, and pine is a very useful tree for that. But well, this is an interesting tree up here. I like this one a lot. I don't think the camera will be able to see it, but because it's an invisible tree. No, you'll see the tree. It's over there, a big one. And what's unusual is that one is absolutely full of, you know, every inch on it has places where woodpeckers have pecked little holes and then stored an acorn, an oak acorn. The whole thing. And it's the only tree like that here. What does that make me think? Well, it makes me think it's a special tree. It's different than the other trees. And that therefore I want to collect the pine cones of this. And I haven't done this yet because I'm busy. I mean, I just cannot handle this project. It's overwhelming. I mean, I can walk around here, and actually I should do this in a more organized way. And I can walk around here and just make a list of all the things that need to be done every goddamn where. And other people, of course, come here and they're like, you should do this, you should do that. And it's not like they've ever said anything I haven't thought of. Maybe it's happened, I don't know. But usually they say shit that's just their dumbass fantasy that they have from some stupid thing that they know nothing about. You know, they took a permaculture class and now they think they're going to come here and tell me what to do. God, I'm a grumpy fuck. I really apologize for that, but I'm experienced. And I think the only way out of it for me is to like invite really amazing, good people here somehow, but I don't know if such people even exist. I have no idea. And really, I don't care if they're good people in other spaces or anything, but, you know, that gets to a training issue of training them to be good. This is a case where this is a pine tree with some branches at the bottom. Oh, that one's not dead yet, but it is now. I'm just making it so you can walk around a little bit better. Not that there's any reason to at this point. But I definitely have to clear spots by the edges of roads so that people can even get out of their car. This beautiful madrone here. Oh, and this has seeds on it too. A bunch of the madrones are just full of seeds, and those are actually useful. The madrones are also called strawberry trees. And they're the scientific name of the family is Arbutus, and I have, I think, 4 different kinds here. So it's not just one kind of tree. One of them looks like a little bush, and I think it's in the same family. But it's, you know, I don't care. I can't care about everything. So this area in here could all get cleaned up a little bit. There's an amazing oak that's arched over there. It was damaged at some point. Or there's other cases where we've actually taken and sculpted trees purposefully, and I want to do tons more of that. I mean, that could practically be a full-time job, and that would also imply a GPS map of the entire property, and every tree that's on it, or everything interesting, really. And this is an app idea I've had for a while, where everything that we see here, like I could have a phone and just wave it, and it would know which direction it's pointing. It would know its latitude and longitude, and it would have some image recognition abilities to recognize what things are out there and then label them, and it could actually give people to-do items. For example, that tree I showed you that has all the acorns in it, that I want more of those because for the woodpeckers, it's a seed storage system. And that maybe is food for them, you know. And I want them collecting and moving acorns around anyway. I want birds to do things. I want tons more birds here. Actually, what I need to do for the birds is provide more water. And that's a whole nother project, is having 10 to 20 watering locations that have a tank that costs $2,000 that the whole dry season, we don't have to do it in the rainy season, I don't think. The whole dry season, it just has a dripping water thing in the shade that waters birds. A bird bath. Okay, a bird bath. And calculate it correctly so that it doesn't run out of water. Because you don't want to give birds water and then take it away, right? That's not going to work out for you. But if this place had like 20 different little oases, I don't know how to say that. Then the amount of bird life here would skyrocket. Too many projects. And I've already got lots of birds, but it could be a lot more. I mean, lack of water. The water is all taken up in the springs by people. People have stolen the water from the forest. And so there's less life in the forest. And it's hard to imagine having too many birds, although they can be annoying too, like they get in your house and stuff like that. But anyway, so this is an example of one weird tree that would show up on that kind of app, and it would say, okay, go collect the pine cones at this time of the year, because you can't get up there and collect them, right? I mean, you could try and climb it, but the pine cones are out at the ends, so what you would do is you would get the ones that fall down. And there's squirrels here that actually eat the pine cones. So what they'll do is they'll go and they'll eat part of a pine cone. It will fall down. If we collect that pine cone, then we could put it in a protected location where mice don't get it and stuff. And it could dry out and the seeds could fall out. And then we could plant those baby pine seeds, make baby pine trees, and it would be this particular one. Now, most people don't even think like that. They're just like, okay, well, we've got 4 kinds of pine trees here. Let's make sure we collect pine cones on all of them and collect seeds and plant them. That's fine. That's a really big success. Hugely cool. But being able to identify very, very specific opportunities, like I mentioned that one of the black cherries, those are native, fruits a ton, and the other ones don't. Actually, I've got 4 that do. But, I mean, that's out of thousands. And so why is that? Like, that's just weird. So I've collected those seeds of that, and I've spread them. Also, coyotes even eat those seeds, oddly enough. That's one of the ways you can recognize coyote poo, is because they eat them. I don't think my dogs do, but We could, if you look at really plant selection, we could look at, for example, which of the arbutus produces the most seeds. Well, that's the one we would want to harvest from, but more importantly, that's the one we would want to get seeds from and learn to germinate them. And they're particularly hard to germinate, right? Some seeds are easy, you can just toss them on the ground, and other seeds are dang near impossible, and then of course there's a range in between. This is the last area we cut for pine beetle plague, and I suspect I'm not going to have much problems with pine beetle plague anymore. I mean, I'm sure it'll show up at some point somewhere again, but I have enough distance between pine groves now, it won't happen. This particular area is exceptional, and this will be very unusual. There's very few places I've actually bulldozed flat. I started one down there, didn't finish it. The roads, of course, I've put in. This is a road here. This one's actually a better road than most. See? It's still a pretty sucky road. Like there's people that come visit me and they're like on the worst roads that they've ever been on in their car. And for me, I'm like, this is my new road. It's so great. I think it's wonderful. And they don't think that. I don't blame them. Anyway, this whole area in here is an area that I'm willing to flatten. I don't have any flat spots out in here, except over there where I did bulldoze one a little bit. But this used to be a gully here. I'm going to change the water flow a little bit. I'm going to flatten this all out. And I'm not sure, that would be a bulldozer job, right? And just obliterate that whole area. Dump the dirt over into this big gully over here so I can make a road that goes down that way towards the entryway. And that would give me 2 one-lane roads for generally having traffic on this southern part of the place. Also, it would allow me to, once again, get to over there, because I can't get from here to there at all. It's just, you can't walk through this that easy. You get all scratched up. I get scratched up all the time walking through shit. It's so annoying. But yeah, this whole area in here, I did bulldoze right here. And all that happens is pine trees come in, because pine trees are the pioneer species here, along with the grass and the annoying, this plant right here. So this is an example right here of a place where we bulldozed it, and this was actually hard dirt in here. Hard, inhospitable, crap-ass, rocky dirt. Right? And the pines still come in and colonize it. And that's great that they do that, because they're beginning the process of restoring the earth. But I don't actually want pines everywhere. But with the young pines, at least I can influence them. I can decide if I want them there or not. I could sculpt them. I could take those young pines over there and I could tie them together with rope and make a spiraling pine sculpture thing that in 30 years would look absolutely amazing. So I'm not sure where I would dump that. Seems like, there used to be, there was a fire here. There was a forest fire. All this burned. And forest fires are great, except that they're scary and burn everything. So once I have more, I need to re-bulldoze all my fire breaks. I did a fire break up there, and the problem is that they grow over because no one's driving on them. And all this shit in here, all this pine needles, there are spots that are worse than this, and it's just all pine needles. And so this is what burns. It just burns. And then I leave a bunch of branches around here, like over here, and so it burns hotter, and there's a little bit more risk that it could burn whole trees and kill them. That happened very rarely. So the forest fires here have actually, so far, have been pretty tame. They're still exhausting, and you can get injured, and it's not the best thing. So for here, though, I know I've got a road there that matters. It's already locked in. If I take the dirt from this whole area, it's a big area, then I could actually use it to in a fairly focused way, make a road that goes down that direction. And I'm not sure where it should come out at. I'm tempted to do it right over there, because the further down I start it, the better off it is. And this is going to get wider anyway, so it would start down there. Yeah, that would be the best place to put it. Or up here. I don't know. This is the kind of stuff where it's really hard to tell when you're on the spot. You have to both have a map and be on the spot, or go back and forth, which is what I do, because I don't have good tools really. But like, one other option would just be at this big intersection right here. It's already a 4-way intersection, right? And so why not just go with 5 ways and decide to, see, that's really steep right there. But the idea would be to then shoot across it and then cut down. And it would go to a road that down there has a hook on it, a loop hook type thing. And that would work. I don't know, road design is really hard for me. Because I need to get like trained as a civil engineer or have one out here. But even a civil engineer is probably not trained to think the way that I think. And so I'd almost have to train them into how I see land use. And then I could publish that too, and people can question it. And I guess I'm doing that with these videos. Well, not at the moment, but and I want that because I'm really trying to avoid 2-way roads. I think most roads should be 1-way. It lowers the footprint with pullouts, turnouts. So you could actually switch them to go either way as well. But that's a tough one. I think I got to decide this shit. See, the thing is, there's no rush really, because I don't have any money to do this anyway. I mean, I could spend $15,000 on bulldozer projects right now, and they would massively increase the value and use of the land. But I don't have that. So, I mean, I live on less than that a year, way less, unfortunately. So, and I don't know if it's an either or. It could be that this is a scary big project, thinking about bulldozing all this out, because there's plants in there I like, and I don't want to cut it all down, but I'm really talking about, lowering this whole side. And then there's stuff I've already planted in here, like this. There's bamboo over there that I really like, and I don't really want to get rid of it. So I would want to bulldoze it and then replant it somewhere else. But then that means I would want to be bulldozing in the beginning of the rainy season, and bulldozers don't like rain, right? They'd rather work with dry earth. Even though they're strong and tough, in the intensity of the rainy season, at least they get stuck. And I've never seen a bulldozer get stuck, but they don't like it. They have to work against the earth. And so I would rather get in here small bulldozers and do it more delicately, and that's more tempting, because why am I making this big flat spot, Well, it's because it's between a natural flat spot way over there and an entry that's over here that's actually one that I am not currently going to use, but I'm very good at seeing the future. And so that will be a used entrance later. And the other thing is I need to connect up to the actually used entrance, which is down there, and maybe make one that's way down there. I mean, it's a tough problem. I've had so much problems even just getting people here, but some of those problems are being solved because the roads are being improved. So, and I've got a couple trees in here I would like to keep. I don't know what to do in here. But luckily I don't have enough money to do very much. And that's actually a good problem to have, in the sense that I'm not able to fuck up very quickly. I think for years and years before I do something. And people think for about 1/10 of a second before telling me that I'm doing the wrong thing, because they're assholes and idiots. Not that I have any personal damage. So this bamboo in here is actually growing pretty well. It was actually 2 shaded, but it had a little bit of water from this road in here. And there's another stand of it down there at the bottom of this where it used to be a gully in there. It's still kind of, there is almost a gully, but now I've removed its shade. And so now this bamboo is going to have a harder time because the ground is going to dry out faster. And so that's another reason to move this bamboo, and then not necessarily lower it right here on the road, but lower it down there and then make a flatter spot for parking, for van life or campground, for terracing the land and planting gardens. It really doesn't matter, but flat land has much more use than sloped land. That's why even in very slopey places, you see these pictures in China and stuff where they've terraced all the land. That's because they really want to make flat spots and they really want to control how water flows across the landscape. It's very important. This is a new road I just put in, like, I don't know, a year and a half ago. There was a bulldozer here just a tiny bit because it was here for something else. And then I was like, okay, I'll just pay you for 3 days of work. I think I paid him for like 3 days. But my list of bulldozer projects is so long. I mean, I could hire a bulldozer for 20, 30 days, 20 days probably, 25 days to do all the projects I want to do. And that would also help with the fire control. Because once I have fire control, then in the beginning of the rainy season and at the end of it, not this time of year, I could do controlled burns. And those would be super useful. Because like this area, all this area down in here that burned before, right, has no trees that I've put in. And there's a bunch of areas on the land where I have not yet put in any trees. Because I don't want to put in a bunch of valuable fruit trees and stuff like that and then do a burn and accidentally kill all my trees I put in. Also, it's going to take them 12 years. They're not going to get watered, right? So it's going to take them 12, 15 years to get mature enough to live through a forest fire. And even then, they might just be kind of sensitive trees and they might die. And I don't know that, and I don't want to find out the hard way. So what I want to do is clean up the forest by getting rid of some of this crap in here, and then burn that land, like burn this whole thing, this whole area. It already burned once, and the plants just come back. It's not like it's hurting the land. In fact, the most successful garden I've had was right here, where this all burned, and then it cleared the land, right? Well, it did clear the land. There's no quotes on that. Oh, woodpecker. Oh, there's old dead snag over there. Good. There should be dead trees laying around. Well, standing around, not laying. Because the woodpeckers need houses too, and they actually, live in them. So if there's no dead standing wood, there's no apartment buildings for woodpeckers. Anyway, so doing these prescribed burns would be more safer if I was able to do them with fire breaks. And you still need a big team of people. So you have to invite a bunch of people over, buy a bunch of beers, and have everybody have shovels and stuff so they're actually equipped. And then we could have forest fires, which are very healthy for the land, but not worry about them burning down buildings or going to the neighbor's land, because I'm not going to decide for my neighbor that they need to do a burn. Although that's an interesting thought. I hadn't thought of that. I should talk to my neighbors and say, hey, I'm doing some burns. I've got this group of guys, and they could bring their own guys too. That's really sexist, sorry. But hey, people are sexist. Society is sexist. Me noticing it is not the problem. Actually, I did fight a fire with a woman from Tasmania, and she was awesome. I was just about to give up. It was just the two of us, and I was just exhausted. I've been fighting the fire for 3 fucking days, and she showed up, and she helped me with the final putting out of the fire. And then there was rain at the very end, just a little bit of rain, but enough to calm it down, because it was the same fire that was here, but it went way over there. And I think, where the hell were we even at? Oh, we went farther than that, but it might have been right up there where that hill is. But if we couldn't stop it there, I was so exhausted. I mean, I had been not sleeping for 3 days, and my friend was injured from the first part of the fire. And so she showed up, and she was actually inspiringly tough and awesome. And she's a skinny, wiry little chick, too. Like, now I like Tasmania more just because of her. I've never even been to Tasmania, but it looks cool on the map, and I've read good things about it. Was it Hobart? Is that the place there? Hobart? I want to go to Tasmania. It's funny. I stereotype people, places based on, whether I've met nice people from there. Like, everybody I've ever met from Ethiopia has been really cool. And all 100% of people from Tasmania have been cool, but she's the only one. So, sample size of 1. This road would need to get made a little bit wider. Not that much, but the biggest thing on this road is it's too steep. And so you would not be able to get up this road in the rainy season in a normal car. And so it would actually have to get paved sometime in the far future when that road gets used again, because right now that's not the main entry anymore. But down here, I've actually gotten stuck, and this is not even as steep. I've gotten stuck trying to get up this road in the rainy season. And so, we have to dump sand there, or pave it, or cobblestone it, or something. Or what I'd like to do with this new road is well, I don't know, this is actually the better one to do. I don't know. I mean, design at this level, I've got really good maps. Well, I've got terrible maps that I made, which are made with my GPS. But I do know a guy who can do drone mapping, and he could drone map this entire place. And he's a hydrologist, and he can have his suggestions of what he thinks I should do. I already know what I think I should do, but in order to feel confident about what I think I know, I have to have other people question that, and preferably people who know something, and he sure as hell does know a lot of things. So, I have decisions, but again, I need a civil engineer, not just a hydrologist. But maybe I should hook a road down from up there. Hey, it's a fucking squirrel. Don't worry about it. Maybe it's not a squirrel. What's going on, baby? That's my little dog. She thinks there's something important. I sincerely doubt there's anything important up there. Anyway, what are we doing? I got bananas over there. I guess we're just walking around looking at plants. I got bananas over there. I've got a big flat area I made in there that filled in with pines, right? As they tend to do. And then it grew this plant that I don't like in it as well. And I want to cut all that plant out. And then I'll have a growing shaded area. And I'll decide with the pines whether to top them off or not. And I'm probably going to top most of them, because I don't want them getting so big that then when they fall over, they're a problem. I want to sculpt them. There are huge benefits to learning how to tree sculpt. And it's not like I'm the first person to think that up. There's been cultures all around the world that have tree sculpted. They do in Japan. There's a lot of old ways of doing things that are really smart. See, I could, only part of this has pines on it. Here, I'll go this way. Lots of hawthorn. This is the bananas in here. Bananas are not happy because they got frosted on in the winter. And also, they mature. Well, these ones didn't fully mature, not all of them. They died because of lack of water and too much cold. And so those definitely need a microclimate, extreme microclimate action. So all of this in here, you can see how some of it's still kind of cleared, which is cool. But other parts just grew completely over. And that's based on how much water it got. And how much water it got was completely not a big difference. Like, it would have been hard to predict what would happen right here. But all of that, I want to get rid of the plant that's shitty. But in order to do that, that's how much work is that? That's like, just doing this is going to be a couple days work for 2 people, really. And then that won't even kill the plant that I don't like. It'll just come right back. And so then I'm tempted, should I use a poison to kill it? And there's no herbicides that I like. I mean, one good thing about it is that it's all underbrush. And so lots of wildlife can hide in there. And that's fantastic. And that's happening all over the property. Where everywhere that I've cut is growing over more densely. And before, there were no dense spots. You could walk anywhere in the forest. It was all just covered in pine needles. Because pine needles do not encourage diversity biologically. They cover the ground, and it's too acidic, and any other baby plants that try and grow get covered up with pine needles. And then there's forest fire risk because of that. So here, with the way I've done things, I've both increased and decreased forest fire risk. I've increased it by leaving dead wood laying around everywhere. I've increased it, well, the biggest way I've increased is by having people here. Because people are what cause forest fires. It's true, lightning can strike. I don't know of any that have been started that way, because usually when there's lightning here, there's also rain. And so that has never happened. A bottle left in the forest as garbage, I guess this still goes back to people then, could actually act as a magnifying glass and start a fire. Totally possible. In fact, that would be a really fun activity, is to make a bed of pine needles, really dry pine needles, and then try and set up on purpose some bottles and see if you could get it to do it. Because, I'm saying it happens, but does it really happen? I don't think it happens that often because bottles aren't really designed to focus light all that well. But it's possible that if a bottle had some water in it, that might increase it. But then again, if there was water in it, and if it was recent garbage in the dry season, then, like it still had some water and somebody threw it over there, maybe it would do it. But I think it's got to be pretty specific curvature to start a fire. So I don't think it's the biggest risk I have. What's more likely is somebody be off smoking or something, or I've had people start fires in places that weren't approved to start fires, like campfires. And I went up, I remember there was some kids here, and they had started a fire unapproved, and I was kind of a dick about it, but I don't care. They're kids and they got to learn. If you be a dick, other people will be a dick to you. So I chatted with them briefly, and I was like, okay, put this fire out. This is not a fire you're supposed to have here. And I knew they weren't going to do it. These are like, 12, 13-year-old little fucks. And, unsupervised, because some people brought a big group of kids here, but they didn't have enough adults to actually supervise them. So I have to control that if I have a group of kids here. And really, I'm not going to have kids here like that. Children should not be running around unsupervised. I'm going to build a whole walled area for them. And have cameras watching them and shit, because that's unacceptable. So anyway, I went off and I got a thing of water, bucket of water, and then I just went over there, and they were all sitting around the fire still. They didn't put it out, of course. And so I just dumped it on the fire, and then all this ashes. I wasn't quite expecting the reaction that happened, but ashes and sparks went flying out of it, and they were surprised. I didn't even say anything. I just walked up, dumped water on it, and walked off. Oh, and then I told their adults that what I did. Because also, then the kids could say, oh, this guy came and tried to hurt us by dumping water on our fire. But I just, told the adults, like, you can't have these kids just starting fires. This is a massive place with massive fire risk. And I have fought 4 forest fires here. And one of them was started by visitors. 2 of them were started by people who were staying here. And one of them came from across the road, and it was very clear where it came from. It was a guy burning some brush, and then he decided he was done and went home, and that he had put it out, or that it was out. It was not out enough. All it takes is a spark. And then the other one took 3 days to get here. It came from way over there. Interesting, they've all come from that direction. Well, those 2. This place has already been pine harvested. I got to do bulldozer work in here, and I'm pretty sure what I want to do. Again, I need somebody to second guess me on a lot of this stuff because I feel very uncomfortable making decisions without, I don't need people to tell me what to do, and they sure as fuck do that, but it's people who don't know what they're talking about that tell me what to do. I need people who do know what they're doing, who understand what I'm doing, which means I also have to describe better what I'm doing. I need them to tell me what to do. Was I going? Yeah, I was going over here. See, this road is growing over right now. Maybe this is where we fought that fire. Yeah, is this the place I pointed to earlier? It is, yeah. I think this is where we fought it. I remember that. And I've got a big gully in here, which I'm tempted to fill in, but I also paid guys to clear it out a long time ago. I was going to make an artificial cave, and I think that's probably still the better idea. In fact, I could cut it out even more and make it bigger and have a bigger dug-in. This is a better idea than I had before. This is why I don't like doing things quickly. Dig the heck out of this. I'm gonna dig up there anyway, and then across, and then I could, with all that dirt, fill in down here. This road would become straighter, making a flat area up here, and then this could be potentially a place where there's a building. And it's already a natural place that more water gathers, so, which, that sounds incompatible, right? You don't want your building getting a bunch of water flow above it. But if I dig in and control that, and I channel the water where I want it, I could actually have slightly more moist places right near the building, which would add to the water from rain capture off of it. And I could at least make microclimates around it, so it'd be more lush, I love walking around this place and trying to figure out what to do with it, especially since I don't have enough resources to actually do it. I want to bulldoze across the top of this and probably then bulldoze that down as far as possible, making this like a big island, and then dumping that dirt again into the gullies. Same game. That gully over there is actually one of the wettest spots I have, is because I channel water off of a dirt road that's over there into that area, and it's become the densest underbrush I have, which also means that it might be a place I should instead be planting like fruit trees and stuff like that, so I could utilize that gathered water. A lot of times when you look at permaculture, they talk about, for example, keyline design, where you're channeling water to the ridges to get it to soak in better. But in some cases, I actually want to use where it already goes and then terrace those and even increase the water that goes into that area. Because all of this stuff is very climate dependent. And so you get people who have read a little bit about permaculture and they get all excited about one concept that they believe is the best one, often a fad, because people love to make up new words for shit. And then they just think that's everything. And it's like, no, that's not everything. It's just one little way of looking at something, how it could be. I've imagined a GIS program, a Geographical Information Systems program, that actually could take the topography like you would get off the drone maps, right? The drone maps are very precise. And it could then look at that. And I don't know how to do this, like automate looking at the GIS information so it could identify every view, every potential view spot. It could identify where you could make a lake, where, you might be able to bulldoze a spot and make a lake. I mean, there's an algorithm you could use for that, where it could just look through and say, based on the landscape, I think that this might be a good place for a little pond or a lake. And that would be hugely valuable, because it's very hard to see that when you're walking around, especially on a property that's just filled with plants and trees that you're not familiar with. But a GIS program could do that, like, boom, instantly. And it could also then say, well, based on all these things, this is where I think you should put roads. And those roads would be mostly on contour, because it's much less energy to go flat in an area. Or like what I was just talking about, a contour road that then you decide to dig around it and fill that in, and you actually are straightening the road, you're filling in a gully. And I mean, the thing is, the programs could suggest to you what to do, right? And you could put in there things like cool pile of rocks over there. Like there's one way over there. I can't show it to you because I went the wrong way. But actually, which way should I get back out of here? Jesus. Maybe I'll walk that way. Now I'll walk down here. Now I'll walk over there. I don't know. God damn. So you could put into it, things that the human would notice that the drone won't. And then it could actually propose a design for you. And then you could go in and say, okay, well, I'm going to drag this element over here because I know better than you, program, what should happen because of this other thing about that I care about. And then it would adjust and say, okay, well, then I'm going to move this other stuff or suggest that we move this other stuff because you moved something. So it'd be a collaborative effort with the GIS automation program to design a landscape. And nobody designs like that I know of. I've never heard of anything like that. And it's true the human mind can do it really well. And so I could actually probably get really good at looking through a topographical map like that and say, oh, well, based on what I know, we should do this and that and put it there and that kind of thing. But how cool would it be if a program could do it? And I mean, this would, because when you get your permaculture design certificate, you do a project, right? And you draw a map of your land, and you decide how you want to use things in different places. But the level of training that they have in those courses is not even close to sufficient to actually doing that. This is that other bamboo I mentioned. See, this one is still in the shade. It's got more shade, so it's nice and green. The other one's turning yellow up there. This one also is much bigger, and it's in a little bit better spot. But it's about to lose the amount of water that comes here. No, that's not true. It still comes through on this road here. And that road's going to keep being like it is. Although, this is such a useful road. I might widen the hell out of this road all the way to the flat spot way over there. I think I should. I mean, it's really painful to do that because I don't like wide roads. And I can do it carefully. That's another reason to get a small bulldozer. Because hiring a big bulldozer is very expensive. And with a small bulldozer, I could do it myself. And I could also train people to do it so that they can go in and fine-tune things. Like the bulldozer I worked with last was an extra big one. It was a huge bulldozer. And it was just frightening because its ability to destroy an area was so high. Like crazy dangerous. And so I like the idea of a small bulldozer that you very carefully can go in at less cost and just tweak things. Like right in here, I could have a big bulldozer just bulldoze that flat right in there. That'd be fine. Or I could do that with a small one. That would work out either way. I mean, this whole area overlooks a really cool valley area. It's one of my favorite ones, and one of the earliest ones I've cut. It's all growing back in now with trees, but I'm going to go through there and I'm going to get rid of the white oaks. And this is such a cool spot right here. And it's wind protected. I left the trees on the ridges on either side. It gets early morning sun. It's protected from the last part of the sun, and on the sides a little bit. Like this is actually south. This is north facing slope right here, so that's extra nice for planting. So there's a whole lot of things like. Why is there a shovel right over there? God damn it! Fuck! It pisses me off so much when I have people who claim they're trying to help me, and instead they just leave tools laying around. Oh, it's infinitely painful to watch. Anytime you interact with people, they just destroy everything near them that you paid for. I don't know how to solve that problem. I really don't. I'm so frustrated that I haven't had anybody here in a long time. And I'm lonely and mentally messed up because of it, you know? And I don't really want to manage people like constantly. I mean, do I have to make a training program for every fucking thing everyone touches? You know, like, don't leave fucking tools laying around. That should be pretty basic, shouldn't it? Fuck. Kind of a shitty shovel anyway. There it is. Oh, I got another macadamia down here. I'm just waiting for the sun to get hot enough so I can take a shower. I've been avoiding taking a shower. But I went down to that house today, the only one I have hot water at. And there's a rat that's been living in there, and they left a big mess in the shower. So I have to clean it up just to take a shower. It's so annoying. I really want to get that solar sauna going. This is the solar food dehydrator. It works actually really well. Not as well as the one I imagine I will build, but it was pretty good. And right now what's in it, this is pretty cool actually if you're a weird person. This is a dead rat, and this is its skeleton right here. All the bones. Looks like no bones fell through the wire. And behind it is a rattlesnake. So that's actually a rattlesnake skeleton right there. There's the rattle. And I just stuck those guys in there because I wanted to dry them out. And I didn't realize that all the flesh would disintegrate, and probably aided by insects, since it's not as well sealed as it ought to be. Ultimately, I want to build a whole solar dehydrator room. That's pretty cool though. So what I want to do is collect all those bones and maybe just leave them on the tray and then put them in a very safe spot. And then somebody will come here with some super glue and want to glue the whole skeleton back together. You know, kind of like a dinosaur skeleton, but smaller. That would be pretty cool. Like really hardcore glue. I don't know if that's worth it, but it sounds like a neat project. Motherfucker. Plants just grow everywhere. It's a good problem. All right, so we done? Not quite, pretty close. Oh, this is a great spot right here. This is a northeast facing slope. Also is a great place to plant lots of cool plants. There's already some in here that we've put in, and they've done well just in the forest. But here's another case where we need to clean up the forest, cutting out a lot of the native plants that aren't interesting to us and putting in some that are. There's some cool rocks in here that are probably left over from building this building behind me. It's a big rock building here. And so the extra rocks just got dumped over there. And then all this shit grew up. I want to cut this pine tree right here because it's eventually going to grow in the wrong way and fall this way probably. It could fall this way. So we'll chop that one. There's a white oak over here. I think I'll leave that one there. And right now, well, during the sunrise gets blocked because of some of those trees. But in general, I want to leave these trees here. These are like acting as a windbreak for that whole valley I looked at before. And so they're contributing to the microclimate that I'm making over there. And so that's why I don't want to get rid of them. And they look nice, you know. And those are the kind of pockets of pines that I have now. where I have stands of pines instead of just pines every single fucking where. Oh, man. I don't know what I want to do. Electricity is hard right now because I have to run the generator to go online. My solar power system is dead. So I'm off grid, but buying gasoline to do it, which is like the dumbest thing there is. It's a 2,000 watt generator. It's really great. It's a Honda. So it's quiet and it's reliable. But I feel pretty dumb getting my electricity that way. But I'm looking at solar options, and solar options have improved radically since I first bought my solar. I bought it 18 years ago after I had been here for 2 years in the dark. And now I'm looking at smaller systems, actually, like solar battery packs. Have gotten really good. I've played with EcoFlow, Jackery, and Pecron at this point. I'm really liking the Pecron. It has extra external batteries you can put on it, which is a cool idea. I like the idea. And then solar panels have gotten so cheap now that I could get two 550 watt panels to get 1,100 total, and that would charge the Pecron up enough so that I could be online most of the night, and if I had battery packs all of the night, that would work. And I could get two of those systems that would allow me to have other people using a different system. That is a small scale option. And it's not a bad option because the real solution would be to get something like a Powerwall. The Powerwall 3 is now out. Tesla Powerwall. I don't care what you think about Tesla or Elon Musk, okay? I just don't give a shit about your opinion. I just want the best product. And he's working on manufacturing in Mexico. And I'd rather buy a product made in North America than in China. And I believe it's a relatively simple system so that I can just have, in this case, it would be like 20 times more power than I'm used to. Right now I get by on 340 watts of panels, but my batteries I bought probably the wrong kind of batteries. I bought them at like AutoZone, and they are theoretically the right kind. But for some reason, one of them's overheating a ton, two of them are leaking, and I'm afraid they're going to catch on fire because they were overheating. And I don't think it's my charge controller that's the problem. I have a Xantrex inverter charge controller, and I don't think that's the problem. It's possible the settings on it are wrong for those types of batteries. I don't know. But I'm really liking that things are getting more into the plug-and-play direction with solar power, where I think even with the Powerwall, that you just, hook the Powerwall up to a bunch of solar panels all chained together in series or parallel or whatever, and then you have a shit ton of power. And that would be what I need, because I am constantly right now playing this little game of like, well, now that everything's failed, I'm burning gasoline, which is just the stupidest thing. And then a guy lends me his battery pack sometimes, but it's all just not the real solution. And I don't want to just go and get more batteries that are incorrect and hook them into a system of old solar panels that may or may not even work right. And it's really hard to get any answers from anyone. I wrote the battery company and they didn't even answer. And you can't find real specs on the stuff. And, it's like, why am I fucking around with shit I shouldn't have to think about? And if you call up a company that installs solar, then everything you do is going to cost 2 to 3 times the price because of their labor to come out and charge you a bunch for their knowledge. I shouldn't have to know that much. I know how to live on solar power extremely well. I know how to live on damn near nothing. I mean, I have 1 watt light bulbs. I don't waste any electricity. So I've learned what you have to learn, what people in the industrial world should learn, because they just get power really cheap and subsidized, and they don't give any fucks about anything. But I would like to now go the other direction and have enough power so that I can have multiple people using laptops and internet. I have Starlink now, so I have a good internet connection, although that uses 40 plus watts, 45 watts of power. And for me, that's a huge amount. And then my laptop uses about the same. So I'm, getting over, up to 117 watts or something I'm using for the two of them together sometimes. Yeah, sometimes the Starlink is more. I don't know why the Starlink would change how much it's using. Maybe it has to communicate with satellites further away or something. I don't know. But and it's dark all the time, and it's just really hard to live without electricity. I can do it. That's not the problem. I mean, I lived here for the first 2 years without any, and it was extremely annoying. And that is an experience I think more people should go through. I should offer it as a training program. I should offer that as a service to people to come and live without electricity in some cabins somewhere, so that they learn the value of electricity. Although I don't really know if, like a tiny vacation would do that. If somebody lived a week without power, would they really learn that much? I'm not so sure they would, because it would be fun. And it's very different when you live in a place where you don't have any power and you're not sure you ever will. And you realize, holy shit, I really like having a little bit of power. Oh, man. See, the sun hasn't even cleared. It just cleared this tree over here. I've got a solar shed light right here that's charging up theoretically on this tiny little solar panel. And the shed light I actually take inside and use at night. It's very handy. But this tree is here, and so the tree blocks the sun for a long time. I guess I could have put this somewhere else, but it'll get sun later today, so it doesn't really matter. Look at this nice flower over here. This is a flowering cactus. Look at those. Oh, they smell good too. Oh, that's a weird smell. It's really pleasant. Oh, that'd make a good perfume. You are such a sexy cactus. Actually, it's got tons of flowers on it. And it's very happy right here, which is really cool. But I have to remember, this is another case where an app would be helpful. I mean, this is just a potted plant, but an app would be helpful to recognize the plant. Oh, that one's not in a pot. It's in a big container thing that's stone. And it should tell me, hey, that thing is going to flower, go collect the seeds. Because with the hundreds and hundreds of species of plants I have here that I want to reproduce, it's really hard to be organized and remember what you should be doing. Like, you should be doing cuttings of certain plants at some times. There's times of the year when you should be doing grafting. There's times of the year when you should take these nopals down here and cut off pads of them and lay them around. Those are really easy to do. But, I mean, the complexity of just all the to-do items to create a food forest is just overwhelming. And to manage people doing that would be even harder, because you actually have to manage and train them. I mean, people just do not have the ability to do things correctly. I've had people plant trees, and I'll tell them how to plant the tree, and then they'll plant it wrong, and the tree dies. Big waste of time. And they think that they're useful volunteers. They're not. Volunteers are only useful if you absolutely have someone who knows what they're doing to manage them all the time. All the time. And even then it will be a struggle, because they'll try and tell you to do things different, or they'll question it. Well, which sounds good, but they'll question it in dumb ways and won't accept reasonable answers. Like, I had one woman here, and we collect Tierra de Encino, which is composted oak leaves underneath oak trees. It's actually a very good source of composted earth that is our best earth here. It's a natural system that's all over the place. It's really great, but it requires work to go out and collect a bunch of this soil. Like those buckets I showed you earlier, all those empty buckets, all those need to be filled up with Tierra de Encino. It also makes a nice gift. Sometimes we've collected it, put it in costals, big bags, and then I take it in my van and I give it away to friends that, they live in town. And for their gardens or their potted plants, it's a very valuable thing for them, and they don't have it as a resource. And they don't have a lot of money to go buying like potting soil. It certainly is not as good as potting soil. I mean, if I wanted to make like a super one of those, and what I would do is like I would build a facility where we collect it, and then we add in like food waste and worms for worm castings, and that's worm shit. Kind of annoys me that everything has a different name. Like worm castings, really? Like they're casting, like were they fishing? It's worm shit. Worm poo, if you prefer, if shit bothers you. Shit bothers a lot of people. What am I avoiding? Oh yeah, I'm just waiting for it to warm up so I can take a shower that I don't want to take. I haven't taken a shower for months and months and months. I got to clean up the rat thing before I take a shower. Which is why I have to build a solar sauna so that I could just walk into it, use it, and get out and not waste any water. You would use cold water. You'd have a cold water rinse, but you scrub the skin off you and all that. You get way cleaner. Because that's the other thing is, because I've used saunas, I sort of feel like showers are stupid. Like they don't get you clean. They don't get you clean enough. You're just dumping water and soap on you. But like if you go out and work and sweat, your skin peels off. Well, your skin peels off if you don't normally do it and you're dirty. And because dirt's peeling off too. And so using a shower, I mean, unless you do it all the time, because I don't remember this happening back when I lived in the city. But I also had a hot tub, and hot tubs are a great way to be really clean. But you shouldn't even be getting in this hot tub unless you already are clean. You certainly should not get in it dirty. So therefore, the sauna is still the best solution. I mean, you could even have the first level sauna. You could imagine like a spa complex where your first level sauna you go through is really hot, and you're well hydrated. You've already cleaned your feet before you even got in that sauna. So you clean your feet, and then you get in a really hot sauna. You do use some cold water to intermittently scrub down, maybe even have other people scrubbing you down like a spa. You could do salt scrubs. I mean, that seems a little too fancy, but here I have dirt that's really cool. You could put dirt on you and then go out to a fire, a really warm area, and then you dry the dirt off. We've done this here, just with play. We did a mud wrestling thing, and that would actually be a cool idea. So you go in, you clean your feet. Maybe you clean your naughty bits too. I don't know. I guess that's a special kind of dirty. Sure, you could have a little station for that. And you could even have warm water for that. And you just do a brief cleaning, and you could dump vinegar on you or alcohol or something like that. And then, so your feet and your naughty bits are clean when you get in the sauna. Then you intermittently get too hot, right? Because it's a really hot sauna. And you go out and that could be a whole stage where you leave that first level sauna. None of these saunas are using energy, right? And I'm imagining, obviously, for more than one person. One person could just use a sauna. That's all I need right now. I just need a sauna I'm willing to go into, because I really don't like taking showers. I'm like a kid about it, like a spoiled little kid with no parent. And so you could go into the hot sauna, do your first scrub, rinse off with cold water. Then you get your very light mud, clean mud made from dust. It's from right here, because this is very good earth for it. And you get covered in that. Maybe not your hair, because if you have long hair, it's hard to get out of it. And then you have a area you go to where there's a fire, and it's a greenhouse during the day. So it's a fire in the greenhouse. It's also hot, but it's dry. And why aren't you just in the sauna? I tend to think of saunas as wetter. Yeah, this would be just more to evaporate you. The goal is to evaporate the mud. The mud will suck stuff out of your skin, right? Suck out your toxins and stuff, if those even exist. I don't know if that's even true. People love to make up shit that's not true. But then you rinse it all off with cold water. Now that's going to use more water. And so it could be that you only do that during the rainy season when you have a surplus of water. So there could be a seasonal thing of certain things are only available at certain times. Or you capture enough that you can provide that all the time. But getting mud off of you is really kind of hard. I mean, when it dries, a lot of the mud will fall off, but you'll still have a bunch of dust on your skin. So the point is that you're going in and out of the mud sauna, being intermittently hot and drying off. And then in there's a cold, or outside of it, there's a cold water thing. And we clean you up completely. Now you're clean. And then we can put you in the other saunas, which are, perhaps you stay in them longer or not. We could have hot tubs during part of the year, or a fake hot springs. That would be so cool. I have designs on how I would do that. But then it would be this path of spa-ness that you go through. And, all of that would have a lot of open air locations. Disease issues I always am concerned about. We've taken care of the feet, I hope, with that. And but the main thing is to have a closed group of people anyway. Although at the scale I'm talking about it would be a pretty big closed group to make it make any sense. So I don't know. For now, I just need to build a single solar sauna to get in, rinse off with cold, get hot, sweat, have my skin peel off, scrub it down, and then rinse off with cold water. And I'd be more willing to do that than take a shower. And I would get way cleaner, because saunas really clean you, really clean, with about 5% of the water that a shower would use, because nobody wastes cold water. And people love to just stand there in a hot shower. That just disgusts me. I don't care if they do it in the city. I don't care if they do it in their society where they are. But in any society that's going to survive, that is a colossally stupid waste of water. Even if you think you live in a place with a ton of water, it's the whole system set up wrong. You're taking water out of aquifers. You're stealing water from everywhere. Living on rain capture is the way to go. If you can't live on the rain where you're at, then you better control your population level a lot, because you're going to be sucking water out of your natural system, and you're going to have a hard time doing anything. And of course, agriculture is the bigger issue, though they're both big issues. Okay, don't try and disavow responsibility. I see it all the time online. People are trying to blame somebody else for their energy use, and it's no, you're the fucking problem. You're the only thing you can control. So control yourself. But that's very hard to do, because everything is set up to help you consume. It's very, very difficult not to be a massive consumer and waster. Oh man, my leg is killing me. And I'm supposed to go somewhere today. I don't know if I'm going to make it. Oh, why is my leg killing me? That's weird. I got a bunch of other places I want to walk around in the forest and look at how things are going. Fuck. Maybe I should do it. I got a spot I haven't walked to in a while. Fuck it, let's walk over there. There's no trail through this shit. See, There used to be a trail here. That's all right. I did lock my door, right? Yeah, I did. All right, fuck it. Let's do it. There's a trail in here, and stuff has grown up over it. That all needs to be harvested, moved, changed. There's coralline in here, a really cool tree. It's not that hard to grow from pieces of it. You can actually cut a piece off and put it right in the ground. And so I've got one in a spot I don't want it to be at all. And so that whole tree could get in the right time of the year. Everything is, has to be timed correctly. That's another thing that too much energy does to people, is that they want to do anything anytime they want. And it's like, no, do things at the right time and you'll use less energy. So there's a right time of the year to cut that tree out of there. And then we can take pieces of it and stick it in a moister spot, and it will reproduce and grow, and then we can even move it to wherever we really want it. So, I mean, I have a whole bunch of thoughts about how to reproduce trees correctly. All right, I guess we can get through this. This is nothing in here. See, this is because it's underneath these pine trees. And so there's like not as much undergrowth right here. This is one of the few areas we can even walk through because it's pine trees. Now, these still grow. Those are red hot pokers, but they're growing really slow. And I've got a piece of bamboo over there that you'd think would be doing really well right there, but it isn't. And I blame the pine trees for that. So, yeah, down in here there's an old trail that grew over. Old sculpture right here. This was a monkey. And a good friend of mine painted that. But because it's outside, it just rotted. I got some swings over here, a tire swing, some regular swings that I bought the seats for. Be a potential sponsor maybe. This is an old road here that is slowly growing over. And the problem with this road is it has a lot of rocks on it. So this is another to-do item, is to pick up all the rocks on it. It's already been done, but it has to be done more. Clear all the branches around it, and then it's possible it could get bulldozed. The question is this going to be a road or is it going to be a pedestrian road? And I've thought about bulldozing from way the fuck down there all the way over to there. There's already a road on a bunch of it. And then cutting the road up along this slope there, making that the new road. And then in that case, this would be a walking road. And that would change things quite a bit. And then get like branches out of people's faces and shit. Damn it, motherfucker. And then I could, well, this whole area down in here is really hard to picture. It's all grown over too. It was pine trees before. Now it's black cherry and oaks growing in it. But these are white oaks that I'm not that interested in. It's tempting to fill in this whole gully. I don't know if that has value or not. I should cut all the branches off this thing here. Cut all the lower ones out, but whatever. And then this was a road to go this way. See how like the trees in the way and shit. But I thought about, this is really tricky up in here, like what to do. And I guess I haven't really fully finished figuring out what my design rules are for certain cases. Like, these are great trees in here, these nice pines, and I want to leave these here. And I probably want to put a building over there. Like a 4-story building, having high density, that would have connection to the road that way. With both these roads. And then connection over there to get up to there. But even then, I don't think that would be the main way to get to that spot up there. And it's true also that I can have what we would call public roads, meaning people visiting, versus resident roads. I think that's a very wise idea. This building down here is all messed up. I designed it badly. So I tried to use a foam roof with wire. I think it's called panel W or something in English. And then you put concrete on it. And the thing is, it wasn't very pitched. And so part of it eventually fell off on the outside. And I think it's always leaked a little bit. I mean, it was a cute building for a long time. But things have to be built for longer term use. In here I've got a couple flat spots that were flattened by hand. Those are all grown over now. And they have piles of branches from, different cuttings of stuff. We're going down to a different area down here that's kind of secret. Nobody ever goes down here. And that's actually a benefit. And so one of my thoughts is I could take it and make it so that, that road would connect over there. And that would be part of that side. But then everything on this side would be gated off. And this would be an entirely different area. Like its own world. Which way do I go? I go this way. Because that way is super grown over. And this way is only partly grown over. See this? And this is the first area where I cut down trees. From right in here, that direction, way over to a ravine, I cut down 80 pine trees. And I had government engineers out to, I checked it with them. This was a long time ago. So I was more cautious about all that kind of stuff. And I hadn't really cut down trees. And I thought, I don't want to cut down trees. It's very bad to cut down trees. And now it's just full of trees. So not a fucking problem. And it's full of more diversity now. So it's a good thing. What I want to do here is put a road that goes up there and then along that slope all the way over to the ravine. And that would help with water flow. It would I'm trying to move traffic away from places that are more comfortable for people to walk anyway. And because anything, to do with car transport should be separated. And I'm not even sure down in here, what that all means. But all this has changed in here. That road would go right up there. And I don't even know if I can do that. I have to talk to a bulldozer guy to find out if that's even possible, because it's very slopey up there, very steep. In here it's not. And all of this can be smoothed out and improved, and would be great for camping. I thought about putting a building on this slope over there, and then one on the other side of it, and then in between the two would be a park. And then up on that slope where that road is, in some parts of it there could be a building, and I'm actually imagining it going up slope from somewhere in here, perhaps two of them, kind of like a fallen skyscraper almost. So it's a lot of layers to go up, and it has the advantages of, I'll be careful in here, there's big holes and stuff. It's really easy to twist your ankle in here. Also, I gotta watch out for rattlesnakes, because I almost stepped on a rattlesnake the other day. I was 2 steps from stepping on it, and I was gonna step right in there where it was. So Luckily I didn't. I saw it first. And it didn't even rattle at me. It was still cold out. It was early in the morning, so it was not very active. I even poked it with a stick, gently. And it didn't even really respond except to flick its little tongue at me and look unhappy because I'm not the person it wants to play with, which is fine with me because I don't want to play with it. But I do have to watch out for rattlesnakes in here. This is like prime rattlesnake area. All of it. This is a big area. This, like the other areas, it should get cleared out. You know, like this road should get like probably rebulldozed, I think. Yeah, it would be worth it. It would be so fast and cheap, and I could widen it. Not a lot, but just, you know, tell the bulldozer guy anywhere that can be widened, widen it. And then maybe come through here beforehand and cut out a few things like this tiny little pine over here. I don't need that right there. This is really a great spot down in here. Like I can imagine a whole small festival or a group of people having this all be as their private area to play and do things. I could go over there to that ravine. Should I do that? Fuck it, I'm just killing time here. I don't know what time it is because I don't have a fucking watch. Because the only kind of watch bands I can buy around here are plastic pieces of shit that break within 3 weeks. I'm so pissed off at so many things. It's not a good way to be. And it's all fixable. It's just this inundation of tiny bullshit things with some bigger ones that are actually life-threatening. But it's just nothing fucking works, you know, and years of neglect and just, you know, I mean, like I don't even have a single building that animals don't live in. So, where do we go? Well, fuck it, we go. We always go. I think I can get down here. Why am I going here? I'm going here for you. I'll blame you. You and the camera. This is a really nice area up in here. It widens out in here because the road goes this way and then it's not as slopey. And so if that road went through here, it would actually open up access to this area up there and the area we're going to. And then it could cut down slope. It would be a little steep. And then I could make a spot to cross the ravine even. Although that could be done in a couple different ways. So I'm a little bit unsure how I would even want to do that. Keep watching for rattlesnakes. I'm not really paying enough attention. And holes. Like, I don't want to sprain my ankle out here and then have to hobble back to the fucking house. Yeah, all these oaks in here, all these trees were not here before. Whole thing grew over. Great. And this is very young forest in here. And that means that I have a lot of opportunities to pick and choose, like which trees do I want, which ones do I not want. This one has a bird nest up in it. That's a white oak. I'd be tempted to chop down all the white oaks. I've been tempted to do that many times. Truth is, they're not necessarily bad. But if I do need to cut down between a white oak and a black oak, I'll cut down the white one because I'm racist. No, it's because they lose their leaves during the time of year when I want shade, like right now. So, like, but they get them back pretty quick. Like, that's a white oak and it's already got its new leaves coming in. So it's not like it's all that horrible or anything that it loses its leaves for a little while. But then in here, I guess this is actually where I would put in the road that goes across the Barranca. That's, why would I even do that? Because if I can buy the property down there, then a road would make more sense down there. And that road could connect to this one. And the other thing is I could actually build a building in the ravine instead of filling it with dirt. And so it would actually be a pedestrian crossing, which would make more sense. So you'd have a car crossing down there, which I did walk it, and it wasn't quite like I remembered. It was still a little bit slopier than I would want. Do I really want to walk over there? Not really. There's this cool spot I can go into in the ravine. It's my favorite spot. Fuck it, I'm not doing it. I'm tempted to hack my way through all this because there used to be a trail that went straight through here, and I want to recover that. Also, I don't really feel like finding rattlesnakes at the moment, though. But I also don't like to walk back the same way I came. So, what do I want to die of? Fuck it, I'll walk through there. Fucking rattlesnakes. Oh, they haven't bit me yet. I've been tromping around these woods for 20 years. All of these trees in here could get sculpted. And the most basic kind of sculpture is clear the branches from the lower part of it so that you can walk by it. It takes a long time for wood to rot around here. This pile of wood right here. You'd think the mushrooms would have eaten that by now, but it takes a while. Look at these nice big trees. See, these trees were not here before. That is so exciting to see. All right, well, I can't cut all these fucking trees. Let's try and get like one path through here. And then there's a little clearing in here, which is nice. Ah, fuck you, branch. Yeah, look at this nice clearing. And it's got all this grass I was talking about. And I dug a bulldozer pit over there for some experiments. In fact, it might be worth looking at that. It was a total failure. I tried to do some bamboo because I know that during the rainy season, more moisture collects right there. The problem is it's still too dry during the dry season. So everything I put down there died. It was all on shitty dirt. Oh, and not everything. Here's a nopal. Nopals are pretty tough. We got some lupin down in here coming up. And so this is slightly moisture right here. Just slightly, very slightly, not enough. It's got 2 pine trees and a bunch of this crap plants that all should die. It would be tempting. Well, I'm going to go up this way. It would be tempting. You see, this is a road over here that grew over, and that should totally be a road. God damn it. How the fuck am I supposed to get through this shit? You know, I'm going out this way. There's a way to get through over here. Yeah, there's a little path. Although I don't know if the road up there is grown over or not. Fuck out of my way. Yeah, there's almost a trail where there used to be a road. Yeah, up here it clears out. Good. And then later on, if I can buy that piece of land, this road would actually divide off on that slope and connect over there. All right, that's a big, cool area in there. Really big. So what else? Buying that piece of land would be actually stellar. And it looks like there currently is a trail that people use to go through it, which is great because it's not on my land. But if I bought it, it would be on my land. And then I would have to make agreements with who can pass through and where and how. Because, I mean, that's another thing is, I don't want to make a public road pretty much anywhere. But you have to let certain people pass through who work on the other side. And so it's tempting to just decide where to go through. One spot. Or two. Way above and way below. I would do it because the place I obviously want to develop the most is right where I am now. Fuck. It's actually just tiring walking around the forest. It's not like a sidewalk or something, you know. Like these are slippery oak leaves right here. With holes everywhere. There was a road up here. And where there's roads now does not determine where there should be roads. That's true if you buy a piece of property as well. Like it could be that this road should be right here. The road that's up there should be down here. That's unclear to me. Or maybe they should both exist. Especially since they're one way. Huh. Well, who knows about that? I don't know. Nobody's used this road in many years. So, it also goes to show you how much a change can matter over time. Even though I say, you know, the forest will restore itself quickly, and it does, it's true. At the same time, if you run a truck through somewhere, that's going to compress that soil for a long time. And so you want to be very careful about that. One of the ideas I have had is actually making friends with a 4x4 club. People have 4x4s, and that they like to go out and drive around in the woods. And here's that other road right there. I'm not going to take on it. I'm too tired. Fuck it, I should go look at it. I'll go look at it. Fuck it. And then control exactly where they get to go and give them some spots to give them what they want, which is, I think what they want, I don't know, I have to ask some 4x4 people this. I think they want to go in places that are hard to do, right? I mean, they want to have the risk of tipping their vehicle over. And so they want steep spots. And I can give them those. Like, there could be one right back there. And I could, well, I'm not sure if I do it right there, but I could run them in a spot where they go down slope, or up slope, and, you know, whatever. I don't know. I've never been 4x4ing. I don't know anything about it. So I should find out like what's fun about it and how much time and space do they want to like drive around, and I could have shaded picnic spots for them and parking where they could park the other vehicles outside of it, and then they can all use the same number or a different number of 4x4s and stuff. Where's that road at? Can't even tell where that road was. Here's another bamboo I put in. Those grow so slow. That's that same as that big timber bamboo, the huge one. But that one's been there 18 years or whatever, 20 something. Oh man, I got firewood in here. Could chop up for firewood. This is a great spot. I'd never go through here. Last time I went through here is when we cut down a tree. Made this wood right here. And then this land down there would be great to buy because the entire property would get wider, and it would change things quite a bit. And this is something I say with design is don't design for the property line. In fact, this used to be part of the same property. There was 5 properties altogether. I owned 2 of them, and that was the third one. Then there's another one below that, and another one below that. That'd make 5 in total. And I want to buy this one. And the other one is probably too expensive for me because part of it has avocados. And it could still be done. It would still be worth it. Very worth it. But it would cost more. And then I want to buy the land above me. But things get complicated up there too. And the pieces are smaller, maybe. It's unclear who owns what, but there's fencing. The way the fences are up there indicates to me that I don't know if those fences are there for use or for property line indication, but that matters a lot. All in here, this spot down in here, there's a gully, right? And all of this, I want to dig it out and flatten it, and maybe dig it out enough to make this be level. So this would become a level spot to cross, and that would be pretty amazing. Because then I could get people, I mean, not everywhere has to be level, of course, but that's also a potential lake location up there, because I've got water coming down this general way that the land is. And so I could dig in really deep up there and maybe even have a building above a lake or building above a wetter spot, a more moist spot. Either way, it would have value, right? And it would flatten this road out. Still would not interfere with connectivity to that land over there if I ever needed it. I think that's worth it. I mean, it sounds very destructive, doesn't it? These trees right here would vote no, because they would die. But a big triangular dug-in wedge right here with, each building would do rain capture as well. And so the spot in there would actually hold even more water. And then you could toss pigs in it, and the pigs will help seal it. This is what Sepp Holzer does in Austria to make lakes. And then you dump bentonite clay in there. I don't even know what bentonite clay is. But I've got a really weird white stuff on a cliff near here that it seems like it's like clay. What the hell is this doing here? It's a big PVC tube sitting here. And it was not here before. I might have had it stored up there, but like, was somebody stealing it? And then dropped it right here? That seems dumb. Fuck. Oh, that seems very unlikely too. But it didn't move by itself. Animal didn't do it. Unless it was a human one. I have a bunch of materials, old materials stored back in there, and it's all been grown over. Some old roofing, and some fencing. All right, I'll head back up to the house here. Almost out of battery anyway. Both in my camera and in me. That's a pretty cool spot in there though. And that would allow me to shoot a road from the entry all the way that direction. To that private location, and also shoot it up into the flat spot up there. I don't know. It's a lot of land to design and figure out, so it's kind of hard to decide. I think for now I have to figure out how and why we'd want to have people here. And I've been tempted to invite shorter term people here, and every single time I think about it, I don't want to do it. Because even though longer term people are a longer term investment, both ways, I can then put more effort into filtering them. Because if I was just going to have like a weekend or a daytime festival with vendors or something like that, like a fair, I have no control over who shows up. And the security risk involved with that is too high. I don't like people. I hate them. They're terrible. And so, if I can figure out anyone at all, and figure out what criteria I have for how to have people here, and how to filter them. This is really cool in here. These are carbuncles. They're like styrofoam. See that? Big carbuncle. It's actually, see how it's all like styrofoam inside? And there's like, 100 of them here. More than 100. And when they're fresh, like here's one that's a little fresher. What happens is a gall wasp comes and it puts inside the bark of the oak tree, it drills a little hole and it puts a little baby in there. And then the tree grows this in response. And it builds a housing, a really energy-rich housing, a womb for that little insect. And then the insect comes out of a little hole and flies away. So the gall wasp uses the oak tree to make its external womb egg thing out of the energy. Hi, dog. God, I thought that was a person. Look at my happy dog. Anyway, it's a cool relationship. The oak tree is not consenting to it. The oak tree just responds. But, I mean, how long did evolution take to make that happen, Probably quite a while. Hi, guys. All right. It's probably warm enough to have a shower. I don't really want to take a shower, but I have to. I have to make some videos where I look sane and shave a little bit, clean up, and sound smart, and get some resources here, because I'm not making it, not the way things are going. Oh, it's nice. Get some shade here. Well, that's kind of fun. I do love going out and looking at the forest. And if I can bulldoze the roads again, get some people to clear some trails, murder some of those plants that are everywhere that's in the way, then I can have sitting spots out there in the shade. I can sculpt more trees. I can plant more plants everywhere. I can reproduce them better. But all this requires huge amounts of energy and income that I don't have, or support that I don't have. I do not have enough support, which means I'm clearly not doing the right job by the world's standards. But my standards are not the world's anyway. Anyway, I'll see you later. Goodbye. Thanks for going on a walk. Arrgh.